Well, so, what does structured water have to do with health? Besides everything? This man, Dr. Mushik John, is the author of the book that Linwood talked about, The Water Puzzle and the Hexagonal Key, all right? He spent 40 years of his life researching the molecular structure of water. And as a scientist, he was the first one to kind of step out of that very stiff scientific box and say, we know that water has this unique molecular structure. Wonder if we can create that molecular structure outside the living body, and I wonder what would happen if people could drink that kind of water. So he did some of the initial research that showed that the regular consumption of structured water was associated with things like better detoxification, a heightened immune function, better nutrient absorption, mental clarity, improved athletic performance, longevity. I mean, he really began this investigation into what would happen if you drank this kind of water. Well, we said today we're going to talk about three things. What does it have to do with your health, the structure of water, and what does the structure of water have to do with raw food? And we said that raw food was also a liquid crystal. Okay. So that wonderful woman whose picture I showed you a minute ago, Dr. May Wan Ho in the UK, wrote this amazing book called The Rainbow and the Worm, The Physics of Organisms, based on the underlying question, what is life? How do we tell the difference between what's living and what's not living? It really isn't any longer that we have to have a certain number of elements together. It's how those elements are organized, all right? She used something called polarized light microscopy, which is the same kind of microscopy used by geologists to determine whether rocks are in their crystalline state, whether the crystalline state exists in rocks, okay? So polarized light microscopy, she started using this technique to look at living materials. And it was like the epiphany of her life to be able to see what happens in polarized light microscopy is that colors show up as different crystal forms exist, okay? So different crystals show up as different colors, different geometries show up as different colors. She started to look at living tissue and living matter. Drosophila larva was where she began with the whole thing, which is pictured here. And she noticed using this technique that the colors of the rainbow showed up as different crystalline forms, became visible through this technique. Essentially, she showed that life is liquid crystalline. These colors, she said, that were being visible through the microscope have physical meaning concerning the shape and arrangements of all the molecules making up different tissues. And she also then said the colors fade when the organism dies. So this shows that living matter, when it's alive, has liquid crystalline organization, has repeating geometry. And when a living organism dies, that organization disappears. So it's all about liquid crystalline organization. Molecular organization is now being considered a measure, actually, of life force. Life itself can be defined in terms of an organism's ability to maintain this liquid crystalline state. That's the key, okay? Well, raw, live food is a liquid crystal, all right? And the degree to which the food is alive is also the degree to which it maintains liquid crystallinity. So now we have a whole new way of understanding what happens when we cook food, right? Cooking breaks molecular bonds. It destroys the liquid crystalline structure, and the food loses its life and its food value. All right, so there are many methods of juicing. You talked about the difference between a high-end juicer and a low-end juicer. We now have another way of looking at what that difference really is all about. Many methods of juicing destroy the molecular organization and also the life force in the food. Well, we said also at the beginning of our discussion that the Green Star juicer was capable of preserving the liquid characteristics of the food. Let's figure that out. In our research around water for our book Dancing with Water, The New Science of Water, we reveal that there are two forces in nature that are prerequisite in order to produce a liquid crystal, all right, in order for water to maintain its liquid crystalline structure. And those forces are spiraling movement, which is key in the universe. You look at the spiral of a DNA, you look at how an electron spirals around an atom, you look at how the Earth circles around the sun, and you look at the spiral in a galaxy. So from the tiniest to the very largest, spiraling movement is key in the universe. It gathers energy, all right? And so when things are moving in a spiral, they don't wind down, if you will, or the universe would grind to a stop. But when things are moving in this fashion, energy is maintained and gathered, all right? And the other factor that was key to preserving the liquid crystalline state in water was an electromagnetic field. Even it's a very weak electromagnetic field. These two in combination are the key to preserving liquid crystalline state, all right? So, in the healthy human body, water's structure is much more easy to maintain because we are electromagnetic beings. And there are tiny pulses of electromagnetic currents going through this living organism all the time. We know that the blood spirals through the heart. We know that the blood spirals through our veins and arteries. And we now know, this picture, this graphic on the right is a molecular graphic of the protein arrangement. See how the proteins themselves are spirals, creating this channel, which is the aqua color in the center. This is a diagram of the aquaporin. That's the channel that takes water into every cell, all right? And it spirals, okay? So we know that the spiral is a key. Well, outside of living organisms, it's much more difficult to maintain this liquid crystalline phase that we're talking about. But there are ways. This on the left is a Korean clay egg-shaped vessel that has traditionally been used for centuries. You will find these in many cultures. Anybody interested in archaeology knows that in all of these traditional ancient cultures, when you dig up their preserved remains, they'll store seed, they'll store oil, they'll store all kinds of things in this egg shape. Well, why? Because the egg shape is nature's gestation vessel, okay? It's the shape of a womb. It's the shape of the egg. It's the shape of a seed, because energy continually moves in a spiral in that shape, all right? And so nothing can go stagnant in this shape of the egg. So anciently, this shape was used to help maintain the liquid crystalline state of things that were alive, seeds or oil or water. We have devised more modern ways to combine the spiral with electromagnetic fields. And I didn't mention that clay is a paramagnetic substance. So you have the subtle combination of the electromagnetic fields and the spiraling movement that are so key. We've made modern methods of doing this kind of thing. And this little machine here shows how we create a vortex, we create that spiraling movement within a magnetic field, and you can also create liquid crystalline water this way. Okay, well, whoa, let's have a look now at the mechanics of the Green Star juicer. We've seen pictures of these twin gears before, and we've seen, Linwood showed you the inside of what's going on there. We have spiraling movement, and we have magnetic fields. We have another component of this technology that is proprietary, that brings a whole nother element in this, which we also discuss in Dancing with Water. Minerals, the Earth's minerals, all have different frequencies. And some of these are very key for the support of life. So within the casing of the magnets in the twin gears that are in the Green Star juicer are some of these very important and critical minerals that enhance life. So now you have juice very carefully and slowly crushed in the twin spiraling gears within a magnetic field, also given some very important life-enhancing frequencies. So it's no wonder that the Green Star juicer preserves the life force. The food retains its liquid crystalline structure longer. I listened to a presentation at the TriBest booth yesterday by Jenny Ross, is that right? And she said, when I got introduced to the TriBest juicer, I couldn't figure out why the juice lasted longer. I could put it in the refrigerator because most people who know juicing know you got to drink the juice right away, but you don't with the TriBest juicer, and people were figuring this out. I talked to another connoisseur yesterday afternoon of juice, and he said, it's true. You can taste the life force in this. Well, there are other methods to measure life force. The scientific community doesn't recognize all of these methods that many others of us do, but there are methods of measuring life force. And the juice from the TriBest juicer has more life force. And it maintains its life force for a longer period of time, and now you know why, okay? The juice retains more minerals than traditionally juiced fruits and vegetables too. Well, in our study of water, we came to realize that the minerals are actually maintained within the structure of the water. Well, the minerals in the juice are maintained in the structure of the juice. If the structure of the juice is maintained, the minerals are there and they don't drop out with the fiber. So the juice you get has more minerals, which of course are key for our health. The foods taste better, they have more life force. I know TriBest is a company that will not compromise in order to get you the very best, and that's my message. Join us at the 3348, right? Booth, and test this for yourself.